Borderlands, the pre-sequel, originally released in October of 2014. Available on all modern platforms, retailing at this point in several different collections at several different price points. But on all platforms, you can get the Handsome Jack collection, which is pretty easy to find for $20. And it also comes with Borderlands 2 and all the DLC for both games. Borderlands the Pre-Sequel is the third game in the Borderlands franchise, and serves to bridge Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2, in addition to having the worst name in the entire franchise. The entire point of this game is to explain where the villain of the second game, Handsome Jack, came from. So you choose a character, which are slight variations on the characters from Borderlands 1 and 2, and you're working directly for Jack, before he became Handsome Jack. And while at this point he is not necessarily a bad guy, he's definitely very goal-oriented, and takes some questionable actions to achieve his goals. But what ultimately pushes him over the edge are the actions of Lilith and Moxie. And that does make you read Borderlands 2's story just a little differently. Gameplay-wise, this is exactly what you would expect from Borderlands. You shoot things, you loot things, and on a rare occasion you do a fairly simple puzzle. But everything is not quite the same. For one, this game doesn't take place on Pandora. No, it takes place on the moon of Pandora. And taking place on the moon actually does affect gameplay. For one, the gravity in the game is much less, so you can jump high and float around a bit. And as you're on the moon, large portions of it do not have an atmosphere. So you have a piece of equipment that has a set amount of air in it. So in some circumstances, you might find yourself running to find more air to breathe. But that doesn't happen all that often, as enemies tend to drop air containers a lot. And if you play as Claptrap in the game, you don't actually have to worry about air, because he's a little robot. To get around, you will have to drive using a lunar buggy, which performs exactly like the vehicles of previous games. Which is to say that driving is easily the worst part of this game. Though later you do get access to a kind of motorcycle hovercraft called a Stingray. It can jump. And there is a certain novelty to that, though it is still terrible, because driving is apparently the perpetual curse of the Borderlands series. And it is noticeably worse in this game due to the large number of instant death pits that are scattered around every map. And you will have to jump over these death pits frequently when traveling around the game. And they're likely the thing that will actually kill you the most times in this game. Another new aspect to Borderlands the Pre-Sequel is the grinder. Put in 3 items of the same quality and of the same type, and out will pop a new item. Sometimes it will even be of a higher quality. And this is an actual interesting concept, and it gives you something to do with weapons you would otherwise just sell, as money in general becomes meaningless very quickly in this game, as with all Borderlands games. And if you're looking for something of a guarantee for a higher quality item, you can spend Moonstone to try and ensure that. It doesn't actually guarantee it, it just makes it far more likely. And Moonstone is the currency you use to upgrade your clip size and backpack size. And honestly, it's not that hard to come by. Every time you start the game, just go around the main city opening all the containers. You'll always get at least a few pieces of Moonstone that way. And that's in addition to it dropping off of enemies, which is not an uncommon occurrence. So is Borderlands the Pre-Sequel worth your time and money? Well, you're looking at a 20-hour game, plus another 10 hours for its DLC, which I'm including here because on most platforms you have to buy them together at this point. And I would say, for $20 in the Handsome Jack collection, it is absolutely worthwhile to play through Borderlands the pre-sequel. It's often considered the black sheep of the Borderlands series, and that's generally because it has less post-game content than other games in the series. But personally, I'm not huge on endless post-game content. I like there to actually be an ending to the game I'm playing. And playing through the pre-sequel does also make a lot of things about Borderlands 2 make more sense, as Borderlands 2 tried to retrofit a story onto the original Borderlands, and it wasn't exactly smooth in doing so. So a lot of the issues with that are addressed in the pre-sequel. Admittedly, it still doesn't make the retrofitting of a story 100% smooth or anything, but it does succeed in making things make a little more sense in the end. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.